That's right, and you know, the last pillar, we talked about trust and empathy, but that third pillar, which is courage, is critical to moving an agenda forward that will include everyone. One of the greatest enemies of equity can be time. Moving projects along in a timely fashion, understanding that there are sometimes political implications of developing projects that can sometimes look at vulnerable populations as an obstacle versus a co-designer and a key voice and a guide in influencing and developing development projects that are inclusive. The courage to tell the truth when people don't necessarily want to hear it. The courage to continuously elevate the fact that we don't want to make sure or create the conditions where vulnerable populations in this city are investing in their own displacement through public finance. The BeltLine would not be a BeltLine if it wasn't for it being a designated blighted area. Tax increment finance.
Literally, according to Georgia state law, 2/3 of the BeltLine area had to be considered blighted. That means it had to be what it is.
Right, and so the people who we leaned on to create the opportunity for the BeltLine are now holding on by their nails to stay in the city. That is wrong. The people, and I laughed a little bit about the MARTA Act. The people who initially funded MARTA in DeKalb, Fulton, and the city of Atlanta, when other counties chose not to, are now at risk because of new green infrastructure and great infrastructure projects of the market shifts actually influencing where they can live and eventually being pushed out. So we have to be willing to speak for those people who aren't usually invited or have the time to come to events like this, so we can make sure that their voices are heard. And our experience with the BeltLine in particular, you know, hopefully can really provide an example of what can happen when you're committed to something and it goes beyond whether it's politically expedient and whether it is the right thing to do. We did not enjoy resigning from the BeltLine board. That was not something that we enjoyed doing. We did not enjoy going against the current administration and also the BeltLine Inc. and BeltLine partnership, but we knew that it had come a time where the truth had to be heard in a way that would create a new conversation. The BeltLine is more than just a lantern parade or a BeltLine yoga, right? It's about people who are willing to come together because they believed that the city can be connected through a 22-mile loop of old rail lines that could not only serve as a new way to grow, but a lifeline for some of the communities that have been left behind by the market. So courage is key and important when we get to a point where we have to move forward and create the type of community that we want in the city and also in the region.
The exciting thing is that it works, you know? I mean, I think that we, not only because of the stand that we took with the BeltLine, but also because there are a lot of other folks in this region and the city doing really hard work to make sure that this conversation is had. It's changing the conversation. I mean, we're talking about it here. The opportunity to actually follow through and change things is there. We just have to continue to work toward that goal.
So, you know, as we, of course, look at parks as an opportunity to beautify our city, we also have to understand that parks can also be leveraged to bring people together. We also have to look at parks as also a potential vehicle for jump-starting the economies that have been left behind through the jobs around upkeep and other key aspects of developing green infrastructure. We have to begin to understand that the voices of community have to be front and center in moving a conversation forward around how we grow and who is included in that growth. And even more important, this conversation about parks and Route 3 is really a microcosm of other large-scale development projects that are happening or have happened as well in the city. And so the things that we're talking about today can not only apply to parks, but also apply to the development of underground. Also apply to the development of the Georgia State redevelopment that is happening over in Summerhill, or the work that's happening right now on University Avenue. That we have a lot of opportunities now, the Civic Center, a lot of opportunities now, the Flint work near the airport and the work with Aerotropolis. It all provides an opportunity for us to actually show what the beloved community can look like, but we have to be willing to trust each other. We have to be willing to put ourselves in other people's shoes, and even more important, we have to be courageous enough to care and act around these issues of inequity.
I would hate for that not to be the last word. We have time for questions.
Yeah, I think we have time for questions, right?
Yeah, we do.
Right. So thank y'all for listening.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off just with a question that relates to, we've had a changing of the guard in terms of political administrations, and have heard from our new mayor an emphasis on affordable housing. And I'm just curious, when you look at this issue of, I liked your comment of change moves at the speed of trust. And where do you see us in terms of our odometer as we begin moving forward under a new administration?
Well, I tell you, I think the work that Ryan and Tim developed in terms of a broader plan around creating a more equitable city has provided us a great compass around how can we create affordable housing within the context of creating a stronger city. There are various things that are happening right now that I'm very excited about as it relates to Mayor Biden's administration, as well as other key conversations that are happening as well. The Atlanta public school system now is in the process of developing an affordable housing strategy. That will be the second strategy in the country where a school system is actually developing an affordable housing strategy. Both Ryan and I are involved in that effort. Also, of course, the mayor's commitment to raising $1 billion for affordable housing, and also her development of an affordable housing policy table. There's some work being done now with the support of the Blank Foundation again around developing an affordable housing agenda. And there's also another coalition of affordable housing advocates called City for All that are also bringing together various interests and leaders around this issue of affordability. So I think the will is there. I also think that, for example, the inclusionary zoning policy that Councilman Andre Dickens spearheaded to encourage inclusionary zoning around the BeltLine is also very exciting. But we have to continue to push, and we have to continue to push and encourage our policymakers and our for-profit and nonprofit development community to understand the importance of not just developing policy, but also creating the capital that we need to create, because there's no such thing as when it comes down to going to Home Depot and buying building materials there's no such thing as affordable housing building materials, right? It all costs the same, right? So we've got to make sure that we have the resources in place to ensure that we have the affordable housing that we need for the city. So
I'll just say, I think it was amazing to work with Commissioner Keene on the Atlanta city design. I think we do have a really compelling vision for where we should go as a city. I'm banking on Mayor Bottoms being the best mayor that we've had forever, maybe. But what we have to give her and what we have to give ourselves is we have to give her political cover, and our rest of our city council, we have to speak up and say, this is what we want.
that's right.
If we do that, we'll get it. That's how it works. And so if we speak up and we want more green space that we need, if we need more affordability, if we want more job opportunities, all of these things, if we believe in that vision and we speak up and we give them the political cover to support it, they will.
And if I may, and that vision, Michael, has to be proactive and not reactionary. right? So I think about the work that we were able to do through the support of the Turner Foundation and other funders, Our Future Atlanta, which was an initiative that was spearheaded by 3 nonprofit organizations with the support of local philanthropy to actually begin to bring together the NGO community and the broader community around a people's policy agenda around the mayor's race. And I think that the work that we did through Our Future Atlanta set the stage and the preconditions for the mayor saying equity and affordability are my 2 key issues for my first 4 years. So.
And even back to like public space, I love this idea of it being a proactive kind of answer. The BeltLine is a proactive answer. We're not reacting. We're going to change. All this change is coming, but it's still a proactive vision for our lives. And that's really exciting. And you know, and again, other thing I want to say is the world's watching. I mean, one of the wonderful things about my life is I get to travel and tell the story everywhere I go. And just in the last year, I've been to Australia, London, Paris, Toronto, all kinds of places across the United States. They're watching Atlanta. And fascinating, they're waiting, some people are waiting for us to fail and expecting that they will. But some people see Atlanta in a completely new light, and they know this history of the civil rights movement and Dr. King's legacy. They see this promise of this proactive kind of vision for their lives, and they want to learn from it.